today's video, we're going to be investing 2 million coins into one informed player. So, just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. For the cheapest premium trading service for just £4, €4, or free with Amazon Prime. You'll get yourself daily trading and investing guides covering both Xbox and PlayStation with an array of different techniques depending on your budget. I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million on multiple titles, and recently making over 10 million in the first month for the last 3 years. So what we are going to be doing in today's video is sending all the coins on this account into one of the informs. Now, we've got about 1.3 million plus a bunch of appenders we bought last week. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to send the whole account into one investment. Now, why am I going to do this? The reason I'm going to do this is because I'm very confident about one investment, and it is practically risk-free. So the investment in question is going to be actually Openda again. But this time we're going to be investing in his second inform. Now, at the moment, a lot of people are building League 1 teams. League 1 teams are the most popular teams in FIFA. And the reason for that is because we've had almost non-stop good League 1 either SBCs or objectives. I mean, as of recently, we've had the likes of Pyatt. We've had the likes of Terrier just the other day. There's been plenty of promo cards, including like Lacazette. We've also had Bailly, who was an SBC. And I'm sure there's one or two more. We also have Belgrada, who is an SBC. We had ourselves Fadiga, who is an SBC. We had ourselves Klaus, who is an objective. And this has left people to build League 1 teams for practically the last 2 weeks. This can be demonstrated by looking at someone like Guendouzi, and looking that Guendouzi has gone up a lot in the last 2 weeks. I could kind of just pick any decent League 1 player that's just not too expensive. I bet even someone like Inform Ben Yedder has gone up a lot in the last 2 weeks. There you go. All the way from 19 all the way up there to 29. So, you know, we can see there's a lot of demand for League 1 players. So that's the first thing. There is a lot of demand for League 1 players. The second thing, which is kind of the whole reason why I came around to investing in this guy, is I actually wondered, yeah, it's all good having the idea that people are using League 1 players, but nowadays, how many people really use Team of the Week cards? I mean, we can look at this and we can see that the only players really above discard we're probably looking at is either Griezmann, Odegaard, Luke Shaw, and other than that, maybe, you know, slightly Openda, but he's still an 85 rated inform. In reality, there's only 3 players there that aren't really discard. So we then get to the question of, are people actually using Team of the Weeks? Well, bear in mind the only ones that aren't discard are Odegaard, Shaw, and Griezmann. What would be quite interesting to see is how many people are using Griezmann, Odegaard, and Shaw to allow these cards to not be discard. Well, we can do this by heading to PGP on Footbin, and then we can go to Games, and then I can go to Squads and look at the Team of the Week. And what I think is the most interesting thing is that the 1, 2, 3 players who aren't discard, now again, you could argue this due to there being a lack of supply, aren't actually the most used Team of the Week. The most used Team of the Week is Openda. Yeah, Openda is sitting near discard, which literally allows this to be, in my opinion, a relatively risk-free investment in terms of SBC fodder, combined with, this is actually a really well-demanded card. Again, I mean, if Odegaard isn't going to sit discard, you know, and he's being used, let's say, 2/3 of the game's Openda is, you know, I think this is a really good investment. So, what I'm planning on doing is literally going to send this whole account into Openda at 13k. Now, when am I going to sell the investment? Now, this is quite interesting because, in reality, the reason these cards are doing very well is because everyone's building League 1 teams. So, how long will the League 1 inform rise? The League 1 form will literally rise until people aren't building League 1 teams anymore. So obviously that's something we can't really determine, but we can look at stuff that's leaked. And we can see where there's no well-demanded leaked player SBCs. So that in itself is, you know, going to look like no one's moving away from League 1 teams. So, and I guess the overall market as well, sorry, I do back rising to around about the 16th. So in theory we've got ourselves about, you know, 8 days, in my opinion, on when it is safe. Now I would personally say probably Friday, because Friday after 6 PM is when you see a lot of people making their, I guess, decisions in how they're going to build their team. I mean, I don't know if we can really show this right here. 201. No, I picked up there at 200. But yeah, no, I'd go Friday after 6 PM. You'll see a little bit of a dip, I guess, with 6 PM, but the market normally does rebound after that, if I can speak English. Alternatively, you could gamble on Saturday and Sunday, but last year, with Team of the Year market crash, the market did start to drop between the 14th, 15th and the 16th, which means if you just get out on Friday when people are building their weekly teams, happy days. But that's kind of a Openda. The demand is there because of people building League 1 teams, because it's basically been the meta for the last 2-3 weeks, and there's been no SBCs this week to move people away from those League 1 teams. And then again, he's practically sitting at discard, which is another reason, you know, if there's an SBC that needs an inform, he can do quite well. The idea is picking up for 13, well, an 86 is only 15. At 84, I think 84 is sitting at discard, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, they're sitting at 11k, so it's about, you know, not bad value for money. If you look at between an 84 gold and an 85 gold, there's probably going to be about a 5k difference. So if we're looking at the informs, and there's only a 2k difference, well then the inform's not bad value for money. Now, on top of Openda, obviously we do have a few more League 1 informs in the current team of the week. We do have our likes of Kakreta. Sadly, Kakreta, he could do well. I mean, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 80 stats, so it's not the worst card in the world. The problem for him is he's just in a very generic position for the League 1. You know, we've got Sissoko in this position. We've got Traore, who's starting to be used because of Terrier. We've got the likes of, obviously, Renato Sanchez, Fofana. There's plenty of CDM in the game, which is... I mean, we can also go back to looking at how often cards have been used. Again, we can literally go here to PGP, back to games, then we can go versions, squads. We can see that Kakreta just isn't really being used anywhere near as much as the next. Again, this doesn't mean only 712. This is basically like a pool of players, so which should be representative of the you know, the grand scheme of things. Lafont, on the other hand, I think is quite nice, coming in at discard. Now, the interesting thing about the Ligue 1 is there are plenty of Ligue 1 goalkeepers. We got to have Donnarumma, Navas, Donnarumma. But one thing I like about him, French Ligue 1. You know, there's been a fair few French Ligue 1 players dropped as of recently, including Klaus, Bellegarde, Terrier, obviously. So there is a bit of incentive to run a French Ligue 1 for those, obviously, double links. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's basically the reason behind that. You should be able to pick him up for about 12k very, very easily. Once again, a discarding form that arguably also has a bit of weaken need demand. I mean, again, we can go back to this team we think. I think it was generally being used more than Douglas Luiz, and you know, there's not much between him and Griezmann in all fairness. So Lafont is also a proven player that's being used. She got both Lafont and Openda. I definitely would back Openda a bit more than Lafont because of generally the sheer amount of games he's being played with, and again, I do believe he's a popular player. I haven't actually covered on this YouTube channel how I do go unassigned on players. How you basically go unassigned on players is you are going to be... So you buy 100 players and then it will say, oh, you can't buy any players because you bought too many. And you go, oh, fair enough, mate. So what you need to do, if you do want to go heavily unassigned, is you need to go to the SBC section. You then need to go to the position change thing. The position change one, which you will find at the end of the live. If we can get there. As I say, I might really say just a full-on video for this. Just make it simple. You then just want to go and throw a bronze player in here. Happy days. And then what you want to do is you want to submit that. That's going to throw you out to the unassigned screen. All you can do is you're going to back out of this. And then you're going to go and buy your selected player, which again is Openda. Now, Openda's a bit of a snipe for me right now. So I'm kind of gambling on him dropping going into the evening. But let's just go and pick one up for like... There you go, one for 13k, or one for 13.50. And you'll see that now I can buy cards, even though previously, whenever you buy, I think it's over 100, 150, it won't let you buy cards. And you'll be able to continue buying cards until it glitches out, and then you just have to do that glitch again, where again, all you're doing is doing a position change, and then you're all good to go and buy. So, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to go and sell the gold appendages you would have seen me invest in last week, which may I say I've done very, very well. We picked all these up for about 1.4, and all up to, I think, about 3.3, so... A very, very successful, I think maybe down at 3 now, but a very successful doubling our coins in the likes of Openda. Yeah, so what we're going to do is going to go and put about 2 million coins into Inform Openda, and we'll show you how well that does next week.